Cool. So session is being recorded. Let's get up to the daily and we'll start off with our AUDCAD. So not a lot has changed from the last time we spoke, even though it has been a while. If we just recap the higher time frame structure, maybe there's something. Yeah, let's recap higher time frame structure because there is something that I kind of do want to just add over here. So anyway, higher time frame structure, we do have bullish momentum. After this bullish momentum, we've got a corrective structure, we've got more bullish momentum, and then we've got another corrective structure. So all we're doing is we're just trying to trade in the direction of the momentum that we see. And yeah, we're trying to be bullish in this case. So anyway, let's just go to the most recent price action on a daily. Just the most recent price action on a daily. So most recent price action, now we're getting into the meat. So getting into what we're going to be doing here. What I want to keep in mind is maybe a higher time frame double bottom. What I mean by that is that we do have this low over here. If price does decide that it wants to come and test this low again, fine, fair enough. We'll let price do that. But what I want to focus on is I want us to kind of focus on just this most recent price action here, because this most recent price action is going to give us the most relevant data and it's going to help us kind of make decisions. Like, for example, this buy that we missed, we decided to stay out of the buy because of the price action that was developing here. And lo and behold, aren't we happy that we stayed out of that buy? Anyway, coming to the stuff. So basically from a daily, let's not drag it on for too long. We've got the momentum. We're bullish from a daily perspective. Let's drop down to the 4-hour and then we'll have a look at the price action. Now, let's get into the price action. Actually, my mind is just stuck on US30. There's so many things that have gone on. If you guys remember from the last time I told you guys that shit's about to hit the fan. Shit has officially hit the fan. Shit has hit the fan. Yeah, but anyway, let's get into, I'm going down to a 1 hour. Let's get into the 4-hour. So on the 4-hour, you guys know that we mainly use the 4-hour to find points of interest, to find areas where we can basically trade. And if you want to look at, or if we have a look at this price action here, basically we've been moving downways, right? Downside. So we've got lower highs, lower lows, and obviously this is the most recent high over there. Price action failed to break above this high. We got a corrective structure over here. After this corrective structure, we see more downside momentum. So obviously price action is still selling off. There is nothing really pretty much that says we're bullish. But what we're waiting for a trading opportunity, because we're bullish on a higher time based off our high time frame structure, what we're going to have to wait for is very simple. Let's not overcomplicate things. Very simple. We have this extreme high. This is the last move that managed to break a level of structure, right? We've got this as our extreme high. We've got this as our extreme low. Obviously, if we want to buy, we look to buy at our extreme lows, and if we want to sell, we look to sell at our extreme highs. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to take this as to be some sort of a range. Maybe we can also add that we are being corrective. If someone wants to argue with me and say, why are you doing this? Why are you whatever? Here's a low. Here's the previous most, I guess, higher time frame low, the last low. You see price action breaking below, breaking back above. We broke below, broke back above. So obviously price action is being corrective around this level of structure, around this low. So all we're going to do is just focus on a corrective structure, because price has already shown us that we are creating a corrective structure in this area over here. So all I'm going to do is just try and figure out whether this corrective structure is some sort of a descending structure, expanding structure, whatever the case is, whether we're coming down for a third touch or I don't know. But what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a corrective structure, because price has already given me indication that we are being corrective right now. Nonetheless, I'm very much bullish. In terms of what the setup is, there's nothing that I can show you guys, except keep in mind that when prices get to the low, we're going to be focused on what is price action doing, because I always say that we always focus on two things. Where is price action and what is price action doing there where it is? So obviously if price action is at support and we see some bullish nature or something that gives us a reason to buy, then obviously why not? Let's do the things to be done. So AJ, I already know there's nothing on AJ. I already know there's nothing on AJ. I'm waiting for JPY news, because that seems to be like the only thing that's going to change things on these JPY code pairs. maybe JPY news. So until we get some JPY news, let's just leave the JPY pairs alone. Maybe besides CAD, because I know CAD is setting up nice for us. Otherwise, we'll look at it when we get there. So on AU, I guess things are going to be fairly simple because we are approaching some sort of a momentum shift over here on a daily, or at least we are inside of this momentum shift on a daily. So where we are right now is we at a daily momentum shift, daily bullish momentum shift, price action bought from this price region over here with some momentum. We managed to break level of structure. So I know someone bought from a daily perspective, some higher time frame buyer came into the market here. So what I'm doing is when I am on the lower time frames, because we did violate, this is still a support trend line. Yes, we can be, or we are being corrective around the support trend line. So now I know price is giving me a corrective structure in this area here. When I do drop down onto my lower time frame, this is the first touch, second touch, we are at the third touch of this, whatever weird looking structure this is. We are at the third touch of the structure. So obviously I'm looking for my bullish bias price action over here. So let me delete all of the stuff so I don't have to come do it alone. Drop down onto the 4-hour. So 4-hour, very, very, very similar to AUDCAD in a sense that we wanted to buy at this area here, but obviously price action was being very corrective. This is not what we want to see. And obviously, if we want to buy inside of here, maybe if okay, let's go over our two scenarios. If I want to take a risk entry, I must either be taking a risk entry at a POI where I get like a proper momentum shift that managed to break levels of structure, obviously break levels of structure, we leave this momentum shift behind. And obviously when price comes back inside, I can begin to look for some sort of a risk entry inside of there. Otherwise, if I'm looking for a reduced risk entry, which is what I'm going to be doing in this case, for the reduced risk entry, what I want to do, let's do this. So that we understand, we know when we're in a seller's market, as long as we're below this resistance trend line over here that I just drew now, we are still inside of a seller's market. And as long as we're in a seller's market, I'm not going to be looking for risk entries, meaning that if I'm going to buy AUDUSD, since we're moving down, I'm going to be looking for either price action to break above a level of structure and obviously come back to retest the level of structure for bullish momentum, since there is no support that I can actually, I don't know, that I can actually mark out here. Besides the fact that we already know from a daily perspective, we're inside this daily momentum shift. This red line here obviously signifies the low of that momentum shift that we've got from a daily. So let me just go there quickly. Quick and fast. Here, so this momentum shift here, that red line obviously signifies the low of that daily momentum shift. So we're not expecting price action to even by a single 1 pip. We're not expecting price action to break or violate this low. But if price action does do that, then obviously we change what we're looking for. So I'm in where I want to be from a daily perspective. Obviously, from a 4-hour, I need to be looking for my POIs. There are no POIs that I can use, but I can use this support as a level of structure that I'm waiting to see what price action does around this level of structure. And obviously, if I do find a structure on a smaller time frame, like a descending structure, inverse head and shoulders, double bottom, whatever the case is, at my support, then there's no reason why I can't be bullish. Let's get into some New Zealand dollar CAD. So now we're getting into the pairs that are giving us much better setups. So NZDCAD, this setup is playing out so perfectly. I cannot wait. I'm even feeling very much impatient because this is, I've been waiting. I think I've exercised more than enough patience for Forex now. Come on now, Forex. Start doing the things. Before I get into New Zealand dollar CAD, I just thought about something that I did share. I shared with people that I host one-on-one sessions with. I did share this with them, but I feel like maybe it might be a little bit relevant to share this with you guys so that you guys understand why we exercise so much patience and we're not just every time I open my trading view, I'm there finding a trading opportunity. Trading does not work like that. When you open your trading view and you find a trading opportunity, what are the chances that all the stars aligned when you just opened your trading view? So otherwise, let me clue you guys up on this thing. There are 3 things that are always moving the market. Let's say there's 2 things that move the market, and the third thing is what I made them imagine is I made them imagine a car. Like you've got the accelerator here, you've got the brake here, and then you've got your clutch. I want to put the clutch very far. You've got your clutch over here. And obviously, everyone knows on this entire planet that your clutch is basically your gear. Doesn't matter how you want to look at it, motorbike, whatever, your clutch is your gear is your clutch. It's one thing. So otherwise, what we're doing here, we are technical traders, right? We use technical analysis. So obviously, if the gas is moving the car, we'll call this car the market. What moves the market is either this is in control, meaning my accelerator, my technicals, or my fundamentals. I don't want to say this is the brakes, or we can say it's the brakes because we don't trade fundamentals. But what I want you to think about is what is controlling the movement of the car? Is it the T or is it the F? And obviously, it doesn't matter whether it's technicals that are the main movers of the market or whether it's fundamentals. There will always be a gear that will obviously, what the gear is your volatility. How much is this market moving? Obviously, we can see the gear was a little bit lower here. Maybe this was third gear, whatever the case is. And here we started going into fourth gear, or I don't know, whatever, a higher gear. You can see that the swings are so much more bigger than the swings that were happening over here. So obviously that's what I want to show you guys. I'm not going to go too deep into it but yes, for the longest of time, or at least for now, fundamentals have been the major movers of a lot of these charts, a lot of these pairs, and whatever the case is. But eventually, things are going to change and technicals are going to be the main mover. Whether or not I know where it is, we don't care, but we obviously just trade the plan, we trade the system, we execute when it's time to execute. But otherwise, let's get into New Zealand dollar CAD. So New Zealand dollar CAD, we've got momentum, we've got this corrective structure, multi-touch, obviously. This support trend line, we can see price action breaking below, breaking back above, breaking below, breaking back above. So we know that price action is being corrective around this support trend line over here. So we focused on what corrective structure is price going to give me in this area here. It's something complicated without a name. I don't know. I don't care. But what we want to do or find out is, can we isolate areas or can we understand what's going on here and try and figure out the trading opportunity? What we've got on a daily is we've got the support, right? You can see price action, or if you go down to a 4-hour, you'll see price action broke and closed below. We came back above. We came back below. We came back above. So obviously we've been corrective around this support over here. So now I know when I drop down onto a 4-hour, price action is giving me a corrective structure in this area here. And I should be trying to figure out what kind of corrective structure is price giving me in this area here. Nonetheless, we are bullish, obviously, because we want to trade in the direction of that higher time frame momentum. And this is obviously a corrective structure. So we want to trade in the direction of the momentum. Going down to a 4-hour. On a 4-hour, we've got this POI that we've had for, I don't know how long, don't really remember at this point in time, but we've got a nice momentum shift over here. Obviously, if we want to buy, we buy where we see other people buying, because we do know that we don't move the market, but it is the volume that moves the market. And obviously, if I see a momentum shift, that tells me that someone bought aggressively, whether it was volume or whether it was size. That's what moves the market. I want to trade where I see volume being traded, and I want to see where I want to trade where I see size being traded. I don't know whether it was volume, whether it was size, but we do have a bullish engulfing telling us that someone bought aggressively for that period of time. Now, coming into the most recent price action here, what we've got here is we've got this resistance. Obviously, this is the last move that managed to break a level of structure over here. That's the level of structure there. So obviously, that's our high. This is our low. Because we do have a point of interest below the low, our job is so simple. So we're not looking to trade at this support at all. What we're doing is we're looking for price action to first break the low of this support. And once we break this low, job is very simple. Our eyes are now focused on reversal structures that terminate somewhere inside of this POI that we have marked out here. Very nice and simple. This setup will be a beautiful setup. Let's not say much about it. We can even include for the most recent price action here, maybe if you want to, we can do this and maybe include this low over here. Okay, that makes this whole thing look nasty. But if we include for that low, then we need to include for this high over here. This makes everything look nasty. It makes it look like price action can come a lot lower. Do I want to keep this? It's gonna make me uncomfortable. Let's just delete it. We'll keep our eyes focused on the support. We've got a POI where we're obviously looking for a setup. All we're waiting to do next week is that when price action does tap into this area here, we're looking for bullish bias price action. Simple enough, guys. Simple enough. We've got our directional bias. We've got a point of interest where we want to make our decision. And that's basically all we need for a forecast. In terms of our entry criteria, the market is going to show us what our entry criteria will be. Otherwise, NJ, another JPY code pair, let's just wait, exercise patience. There's a lot going on here, a hell of a lot going on here. So let's just stay out of this chop. We don't want to be destroyed. Let's wait for price action to, if she came close twice, if it wants to come up and give us the sell that we've been waiting for at these POIs, then fair enough, we'll take the sell when it does come. But for now, I just want to exercise patience. I don't want to trade this JPY code pair. Let's go on to some NASDAQ. Okay, let me do this. Before we get into a lot of stuff, let's remove all of everything here on NASDAQ because NASDAQ should be getting freaky now. US30 is getting freaky. We're waiting for NASDAQ because this bubble has burst. Now that we're here on the indices, now I can talk. Now that we're here on the indices, if you guys were following or if you guys ever Googled or searched or whatever, the 2008 crash, the 2008, they call it the what? The GFC, the Great Financial Crisis or whatever the case is. If you guys know, there was a movie made about that crash called The Big Short. The movie that guy, the guy that the movie was made about, what's his name? I forgot his name. That's why I'm going back to the movie now because his name is not in my head. But anyway, the guy that made bazillions and bazillions when he was warning the entire world that shit is about to hit the fan and no one listened and the whole world crashed and burned and he made bazillions and bazillions. Let me tell you guys something. He started buying puts on the triple Qs, which is basically NASDAQ. He started buying puts, which are sells in options on NASDAQ. Now, if that guy decides to start buying puts, that already tells you that T.Mayne is not the only one that's going crazy, that's seeing things are not working out in this current market. The world is literally about to crash and burn. It is about to crash and burn. He's got reasons. I don't know what his reasons are. I wish I knew. We'll wait until after the crash, then they'll make another movie, then they'll tell us what his reasons were. But otherwise, guys, the world is about to crash and burn. The bubble, the stock market, I mean, this AI bubble, this AI mania, it's done now. It's done. It's done. But otherwise, NASDAQ. Let's just take into account context. Where are we? What's happening? Where we are? We're at this resistance. We're being corrective around this resistance. What I want to do just to be safe is I just want to come to the most recent price action. We'll make our decisions based off what's happening here. Now, excuse me. Here on a daily, let's just talk about the daily structure. On a daily, we've got some support over here. We've got some resistance over here because obviously this is the last move that managed to break a level of structure. So cool, last area or last source of buyers. But nonetheless, what we do see here is we see price action giving us a lower low. Yes, we did not break and close below. We rejected this support, but we did still create a new lower low. Now, based off where we are, or maybe I'm just being extra difficult at this point in time, trying to force a sell, but let's see, let's see, based off where we are, right? Obviously, we can't be looking to sell anywhere close to the support because it is support. We have to wait for price action to come towards or closer to our resistance, and we can see price action is damn well doing that. Nonetheless, if we look at what's going on here, this is the last resistance. We broke above, broke below. There's another resistance. We broke above, broke below. But now let's not get extra happy about the corrective price action because okay, there was nonsense here. I think this is a lot more impulsive. Like this price action here is a lot more impulsive than this price action going up. Like I can clearly see an ascending structure or whatever the case is going on there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna force this sell right now because I don't think anyone can be sure. You know what's always going to happen until the day we die in Forex, until the day I exit this planet, till I check out. What's always going to happen is that we'll never be able to, or at least I've even given up on trying to time the market, on trying to, yes, we can forecast and we can assume things are going to happen, but how they will take place. Remember that how is always affected by the situation. We have no idea whether tomorrow China is going to start invading Taiwan. That could be the scenario that causes whatever to happen. If you are able to predict a situation in the world that can make a lot of people make a decision, then for sure maybe you can time the market and say maybe that's going to be the high or that's going to be the low. But if you don't have access to that information, there's no way that you can time the market and figure out when what's going to happen. What we've got to do is we've just got to be reactive and follow what we see happening. So based off a 4 hour, since we've got corrective price action going all the way up, I would hope that this is the last break above the level of structure. If it's not, it is what it is. If it is, then fine. I've got a trading opportunity that I can see. Nonetheless, what I can see here is we've got a beautiful bearish engulfing, or at least we can call it a momentum shift. There we go. A nice momentum shift here that managed to break this level of structure and as well as that level of structure there. So we did break a couple of levels of structure. And obviously, if you want to be bullish, then here's your guy over here. You guys can see that a lot of people decided was at least there was volume in this buying momentum. It did manage to break a level of structure. So now we know where the buyers are. Now we know where the sellers are. If I want to sell, that's where I want to make my decision. If I want to buy, that's where I want to make my decision. So going down to the H1, I guess let's just be very simple about what we have going on here. Since we've got a resistance being this resistance here and the POI, 4-hour POI over there, let our job be simple. All we're going to be waiting for next week to be able to sell NASDAQ. Let's hope Monday does something nice and interesting and gives us a move up. Obviously, if you get a move up, we've got a support trend line, or it's a resistance right now, but obviously when price breaks above, it'll be a support trend line. We've got a support trend line that price will break above, and obviously that's where we're looking for price to terminate. If price does not terminate or does terminate, but we don't find an entry, we'll still use this level of structure to obviously find a retest. Because remember, what will always govern, there'll always be nature to prove everything. Whether price is going up or price is going down, it's always going to go down or up based off people's decisions. And people are going to make decisions decisively or not decisively. Obviously, if it's not decisive, then we'll find corrective price action. And if it's decisive, then we'll find impulsive price action like this. What we want to do is we want to wait for the nature to confirm the move that I am assuming, because remember, I don't really know. I don't really know. What I've got to wait for is I've got to wait for the market to confirm my assumptions, because that's ultimately what it is. Let's be real. If your guru tells you that market is going to buy, market is, this is another thing. With the guys that I have the one-on-one sessions with, I always tell them that I don't want to hear you in your analysis telling me that market is going to buy or market is going to sell, because you don't know. What you do know is what you are going to do in response. If market does X, Y, and Z, I will do this. That's basically what trading is. Trading is not trying to guess whether we don't even know whether the market will go up or down. We don't even care. What we do know is that if the market does X, I will respond with Y. And that's what trading is about. Even when you're doing your analysis, don't try and figure out which direction this thing is going. Okay, cool, figure out which direction it's going so that you can make your forecast, but ultimately you remind yourself that really you don't know which direction the market is going. I love US30 right now. Guys, let's talk about US30, because US30 seems to be the leader of what's going on here. US30 ain't lagging, it's not lagging this time. As much as it was an AI bubble, US30 doesn't seem to be lagging. Nonetheless, US30 is beautiful for the sell. Absolutely beautiful for the sell. We've got resistance, we've got support. We know price action has been working this area ever since for the longest of time. We broke out of this area, we broke back into this area. Now, what are we doing? The last time, you guys remember, the last time we spoke, price action was up here. For the last session that we had, price action was up there, that resistance. I didn't know. I didn't know. What I wanted was I was expecting a sell from resistance, but I had no idea that there was news, there was fundamentals. You see this impulse of this bearish engulfing over here. That was some bad news. That was companies that people were assuming were doing good when they actually released their earnings report. People found out that, oh shit, the AI hype, AI is not gonna make the world a better place, and AI won't just make us billions and make us all survive like they assuming. Price sold off. Who knew that there would have been news? Who knew? I did not know. But We assume the world is crashing and burning. So resistance, obviously we had resistance. We've got an ascending structure. We want to obviously be bearish. We've got a nice momentum shift on a daily, but otherwise let's just go down to the 4 hour and make things a little bit simpler because we're not going to be trading off the daily anyway. Cool. I'm trying to move my chart down. There we go. On a 4 hour, nice and obvious over there, almost the same as NASDAQ. That's why I was like, we're forcing the sell on NASDAQ because NASDAQ structure is honestly moving sideways. If you want to pick, say market is bullish, you're 100% right. If you want to say market is bearish, you're 100% right because there is no direction on NASDAQ, as well as US30. But US30, we've got additional context as to we at major resistance. We've got an ascending structure. There's a lot more supporting the sell, or at least the short on US30 than there is on NASDAQ. But otherwise, okay, we've got some, I don't know if you want to call it equal highs or whatever, but we've got these two resistance areas, these two highs there. We've got a POI over there. If you've got the patience enough to wait, exercise patience to wait for price action to come up to this POI, then that's the best place with the best probabilities to obviously sell. Anyone can do anything in the market, whether you want to buy, whether you want to sell, you can do whatever you want to do. But obviously ask yourself, if I'm gonna buy or if I'm gonna sell, am I buying or selling where the probabilities are gonna be in my favor? Number two, am I buying or selling where I will be able to take the smallest amount of risk possible? And what is there? Number three? No, there's no number three. No, there's no number three. Just ask yourself those two questions. Am I trading where probabilities are? And can I, where I'm trading, take the smallest risk possible? That's why we always look for POIs, because we're trying to refine the zone where we're looking for price to reverse. That helps us with adding stops, because we know that we're going to place a stop loss right above this high. Even if we enter on a 1 minute or whatever the case is, we'll find an entry inside of this POI and place stops the safest place above the POI. If price breaks the POI by even a single pip, we know it's not valid. We delete our order, we cancel, we do whatever to mitigate our risk. But nonetheless, I'm sell biased. So out of all the JPY code pairs, this is the only JPY code pair that I can try and find a sell on that I'd be happy to sell. This is the only JPY pair that I'd be happy to sell. But nonetheless, on a weekly, so the reason why we tried to sell inside of here, I don't remember when it was, June. Yes, it's like 3 months ago, 2 months ago. The reason why we tried to sell here is because of there is on a weekly chart, there is some sort of a momentum shift, or at least price managed to break levels of structure from this area here. But what I want to look at is I just want to focus on the most recent price action, right? Okay, let's so conclusion being I'm bearish because we're going to be coming towards resistance. Context, that's a resistance. The closer we get to resistance, the more I want to sell. But I want to drop down to the 4 hour to kind of explain to you guys what's my whole reasoning behind what's going on here on CADJPY. So CADJPY, we had this ascending structure. We had this some nonsense going on here. And all of a sudden, obviously, we're expecting the ascending structure to give us a trade to the downside. That's because that's what we've been trying to do, sell these JPY code pairs. But BOJ is not playing our game. We'll wait for BOJ to play our game. But otherwise, we saw an extreme amount of buyers, a ridiculous amount of buyers coming in where they shouldn't be coming in. But what I have is I have a complete reversal. Whatever buyer there was, whatever momentum there was, I know there's a seller that's just as adamant, that has just as much money or just as much volume or whatever, just as much reason compel to actually sell CAD-yen. After we see the seller, we have a corrective structure, an ascending structure. So obviously based off this, I'm drawing my conclusions as to why can I or where can I be able to find some sort of a trading opportunity. Nonetheless, I've got my resistance trend line over here. Let's just open up this 4 hour chart so that we are looking at the 4 hour structure. There we go. We've got this 4 hour structure. So obviously we're not going to touch our resistance trend line. We're not going to touch our support trend line. I think it's fine the way it is. It doesn't need to be perfect. All we need to know is the context. Where is our resistance? Where are we expecting sellers to jump in? Obviously, where's the support? Where are we expecting buyers to jump in? Now, if you want to cut the long story short, we can extend this here. And obviously, we've got a first touch, second touch, and we can be expecting a third touch of structure. Let's hope this is the one, the third touch. Where at our resistance? Is there a POI here? Let me use my eyes and check. Let me use my eyes and just check. Because I do see that there is something there, but is it a valid POI? Nice momentum shift for us to be able to trade it. No, it is not. It is not. It is not. So obviously, let me explain to you guys why I'm saying that it's not. My rules for momentum shift is obviously I want to see an engulfing. And an engulfing for me is a lower low, lower close. This is the only bullish candlestick that we have there. Do we have a lower low, lower close on the next candlestick? No, we do not have a lower low, lower close. Because yes, we do have a lower low, but price action did not close lower than the previous low of the previous candlestick. So if you've got rules, you'll always stay out of unnecessary stuff, and you'll be able to rinse and repeat all the time the exact same way. So create rules for whatever you're trading, however you're trading, make it a rule so that you can trade the same thing the same way all the time. But otherwise, CAD yen, this is the only JPY code pair that I'm going to be okay to sell. Here's our ascending structure. Whatever gives us some sort of a sell at resistance, that's what we're going to be looking for a trade to the downside. So I think for next week, the only pairs that are going to be high on the watch list is probably New Zealand dollar CAD. This is the hottest pair, I think, for the buy. The other pairs, we'll just have to follow them. But I'm very, very New Zealand dollar CAD is basically forming a textbook setup, something that I would be looking for all the time. So that's why I'm just kind of waiting for this one. But nonetheless, I think we've got like 5 minutes left. I'm 100% done with the analysis. If you guys want to ask any questions or shoot something before we call it a session, we've got 5 minutes left. Let's be productive. Let's sort you guys out. So just hop in there in the chats and let's see what's going on. Are you guys sorted? Do you have any questions? I just want to go to the red list while I'm waiting for questions, because I do have pairs here in the red list like NU that are also going to be giving us setups. I think everything is very clear, looks very similar to AUDUSD. There's our daily momentum shift there. We want price action to go inside there before we buy. Still don't see anything in the chats. If you guys are asking questions, now is the time, because we do have a couple of minutes. Euro New Zealand dollar also something. A lot of talking went on here. How can I delete all of the stuff quickly? Okay, I think this was from a session or from a whatever. I don't know. But anyway, just to delete everything, just so that we can see what's going on here. Okay, we've got resistance. We're at resistance. Obviously, price is forming some sort of a descending structure. So we need to wait for the reverse. What was the rule you mentioned on the momentum shift? So momentum shift for me is an engulfing candlestick, right? To pull it, for example, if I've got a bullish engulfing, that's what a bullish engulfing looks like. If I've got a bearish engulfing, that's what a bearish engulfing looks like. But what I want to see is the previous candlestick. The next candlestick should have a high higher than this candlestick and a close higher than this high of the candlestick. So basically, higher high, higher close is bullish momentum for me. And obviously in this case, if I've got a lower low on the next candlestick and a lower close on the next candlestick, then this would signify bearish momentum. That's the rules. AUDCAD and CAD yen look good for me too. Thanks, bro. I'm glad I see some people that are also loving the setups. That means that we're looking for the exact same thing. Nice there. Otherwise, no other questions. Okay, on this pair here, because we're at resistance, price action is not playing the game the way it was in the past. Like on a 15 minutes, she was giving very nice setups, like very nice setups. But right now, everything is looking a little bit corrective, a little bit more corrective to the downside. So all I want to do is just wait for price action to come back a little bit higher to where? Let's just go on to a 1 hour. If you guys trade these euro pairs, and you see how textbook this everything was. Tap into the guys. This was just textbook. Way higher. Oh shit, we already tapped into the. Yeah, we already tapped into this high momentum. So now I don't know. Do we wait for a move higher? No, we don't. We wait for price action to come to resistance. We've already tapped into that POI there. So obviously the next move will be at resistance. We've got like a minute and 52 seconds left. Let's see if UJ has something for us to share since it's on here. Oh, I remember this pair. I think we should be at a POI now. Oh, we're broken above the POI. But anyway, on UJ, all I'm looking at is we've got this ascending structure. Remember, it is a JPY code pair. Once BOJ decides to play the game, there just has to be JPY strength sometime soon. There has to be JPY strength at some point in time, and I'm gonna wait for it. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. It irritates me to always be saying the same thing and be looking for a structure for whatever, and price just decides to just never ever give me that thing. But otherwise, it's frustrating. But nonetheless, if you just come to the most recent price action here on UJ, I think someone can force a new ascending structure inside of there if they wanted to, just so that they can find out where the third touch of this. Hi, that looks nasty. I would never use that resistance trend line. All I'd be waiting for, obviously, we're in a buyer's market right now because we're above this support trend line. We can use this resistance here, understanding the price action is being corrective. Use this resistance, wait for price action to obviously break back below that resistance. And once you're below the resistance, then you wait for the nature's theory. Nature's theory will always give you the confirmation, final confirmation to prove that price action is doing what you expect it to do. But otherwise, the session is going to end now in the next like 15 seconds. Thanks for being part of the session, guys. I do apologize again for not being here for a long time, but I am going to be looking to change that soon. Cheers, guys. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your guys' weekend.